This car's a bit like eating a cheese sandwich. Next to me here is a car that is as much a Ford Fiesta as it is green. A very, very tidy Mk4.5 Fiesta in Pacific green. A car that normally I wouldn't really be that interested in. But this one, I kind of like it actually. Normally I wait until the end of the video before I say that. The Mk4 has its roots in the 1990s, but this is like a Mk4.5. It's a very cute sort of back end on this car. It's all smooth and bubbly and is curvaceous. It's curvaceous and it has comedy Fiesta writing. It is typical of the 90s with its lack of angular bits everywhere, which of course they tried to change when they did this facelift and made it look a little bit more like a baby Mondeo or a baby Focus. It has the kind of face that isn't going to be grumpy and hormonal. The original Mk4 had a slightly different face, which just looked really grumpy, and now it turned into this car was one of the cheapest facelifts going, because that really is. It's just the front bumper, headlamps, maybe the bonnet a bit. I don't even think the wings are that different. Certainly from this angle you wouldn't really be able to tell the difference. But look, oh, look at these wheels, aren't they nice? They're ring correct, aren't they? They're off a Mk6 Fiesta, but they do actually suit it. Anyway, enough of what it looks like. What's it like inside? What is it like as a car? Is it a good car or is it not a good car? Let's have a look at the boot. In very old style, opening the boot requires doing that, and then you have to lift it. There are no electric motors to assist you in opening up this boot, because this car came from a time where the majority of people could lift things. The boot, as you would expect, isn't exactly cavernous, but it's not really small either. In fact, it's bigger than I would imagine many a car of this size to be nowadays. Notice there, it didn't take me ages to figure out how to open the bonnet, like it does with some cars. And this bonnet does open with a release from the inside of the car, not by moving this to one side and bunging your key in, which was supposed to be some fantastic security method which could be overridden by a screwdriver. Underneath the bonnet we find the 1.5 Yamaha designed Z-Tech engine. It's a motorbike engine in a car. Apparently it's very revvy but not too torquey. Before we get into the car, should we have a listen to the door shut sound? That's what it sounds like. Here I am inside the Ford Fiesta, and the first thing I must say is it smells very nice. It smells very looked after. It smells very clean. It smells like it's been valeted. It looks like it's been valeted. Here we find leather seats, a not so carpety carpet, and a very shallow looking dashboard. Original Ford mats, exposed bolts for the seats, quite a lot of change, a mostly plastic steering wheel. But that bit isn't. A gear knob that I don't know if that is original or not, and look, very little space between one seat and the next. It does actually feel quite cozy in here, and when I say cozy I mean small. Build quality is a mix of not too bad and not too great. That doesn't feel too bad. I mean, all of this lot here, the buttons aren't, they're not premium quality buttons, but they appear to be of a standard which is necessary in order to make a car that's quite affordable. A headlining that isn't sagging, but then this isn't the same kind of soft touch material that you would get with some of the British cars. The handle's in ever so slightly the wrong place, or is it? Because what you need here is your arm extended, you put your middle finger into the hooky bit there and pull, but it's quite squeaky. I would be worried about that breaking at some point. Rear legroom, there isn't any. Glass that pops out to give ventilation to backseat passengers, because it's cheaper and impossible to have the window come all the way down to the bottom. You know, it'd get in the way of the arch, wouldn't it? That's quite a smooth engine actually. It's not exactly had a tough life, and looking at the rest of the car, it does appear to have been somewhat mollycoddled anyway. It's time to take the little Fiesta out for a little drive. Must say the biting point is a bit high on this, but apparently that's a common thing with these. Let's hope the clutch lasts the length of the test drive at least. I have to say, straight out of the yard, it's quite a pleasant little thing to drive actually. Its engine is quite eager, although I believe that the 1.3 engine, the Kent engine, which is the rattly one, is a bit more torquey than this. It's typically easy to drive territory, which is exactly what I was expecting. There's nothing surprising about it so far. It actually doesn't have anything that unusual about the way it drives, the way it performs. It feels quite ordinary really, but it doesn't feel that dated. I mean, to look at it, it looks like it might drive like an old man speaks, but it doesn't. It's kind of quite easy to get along with. The steering has a little bit of weight to it and is reasonably accurate. Gear change is okay. The overall ride is quite spongy. It's actually a lot more comfortable than I was expecting, especially with these bigger wheels on. I thought it was going to feel a bit track car-like, but no, it doesn't. It doesn't feel like if you fling it around any corners it's going to properly stick though. I mean, it shouldn't be bad, but there's no, oh my gosh, it does lean an awful lot once you, well, I'm not going that fast. Oh, there's a Mini there. Someone's left a Mini there. I wonder whether they went around that roundabout a bit too fast. If it doesn't really have the power to just whiz past that truck there, and I had to hold back. Safety, responsible driving, that's what this car's about. That's what I'm about anyway. But I'd quite like to see what it goes like if you really gun it. That's about as gunning it as I want to do really. Brakes feel a bit on the inadequate side actually. Yeah, the brakes aren't great, I'm going to say that. It's a little bit roly-poly actually. But that engine though is quite characterful. That's the bit I like so far. That's the bit I like best. The engine's not particularly powerful or punchy, but it does sound nice. Unlike the steering, which feels a bit like it can't be bothered, the gear change, which is ambivalent as to whether you're enjoying yourself or not, and the kind of brakes that tell you just to ease off a little bit. You don't want to put it in a hedge, do you? I'm going to say that this car's a bit like eating a cheese sandwich. It's perfectly okay, but it's not cheese on toast, is it? It's just a cheese sandwich. And it's just with ordinary white bread. You know, it's not sourdough, it's just ordinary white bread, not very much butter, and cheddar. Not even the good stuff. That's what it is. You can eat it, it will do the job, but if you was to be offered this, or cheese on toast, or a kebab, or a curry, you're going to have something else, aren't you? So while I find this car perfectly pleasant, and quite nice to look at as well, comfortable, and a little bit characterful, it hasn't really pressed my buttons, I'm afraid. And that's what I like to happen. I can't emphasize strongly enough though, this car is spot on mechanically and the way it drives and everything. It's a good little car. If it was for sale, I'd recommend you buy it, but it's not, so I can't really recommend that you buy it because it's not for sale. Always park opposite another van. I think it is most at home driving along roads like this. It's a bit like watching cricket. which I never do, which is ultimately better than Celebrity Love Island or one of those other kind of things. So there we go, the Ford Fiesta Mark 5, like a cheese sandwich. Thanks for watching.